Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl ELLAVATE.G, and I am here with yet another portrait drawing. These are, once again, some of my favorites. I love a good portrait drawing, and this time I am drawing the one and only Rihanna. So yeah, I actually slowed down this time-lapse video just a little bit so I can really tell y'all what I did, just in case some people are watching and they're trying to learn, how to draw more realistic looking portraits. So I always start off with like a very light sketch, and then I go in and just highlight. I only used one airbrush brush pretty much for this drawing, with just different shades of gray and black for the face. And then of course for the eyes I did like a ink pen to make it more poppy. I don't know. But yeah, so pretty much I was not even gonna finish this drawing. When I started it off, I was like, I'm not really feeling it, but something made me come back to it and really give it some time a day. So yes, I am using the reference photo right underneath at the first half of the drawing. That really helps me figure out if my shades are right, if my highlights are right, and it's just easier, guys. Like, if y'all are the type of artists who don't respect people who trace over photos, I'm sorry, but I feel like the trace doesn't really give you that big of an advantage, because you can trace the face, but if you're not able to color in and get the right highlights and shading, then it's not gonna look realistic. So tracing is not that big of a deal for me. I don't think it takes away from the artist at all, because if you can trace, you can draw. If you can draw, you can freehand. But anyways, yeah, I'm just doing a lot of shading with this one. It was just a lot of trial and error. Like I said, I used an airbrush for the whole face, and just use like the blending tool in Procreate. If I haven't mentioned it, I am using Procreate to create this. And yeah, now you see me working with the eyes. I think her eyes are one of the favorite parts of the drawing for me, just because it's just like when you look at it, I just get drawn to the eyes. So what I do usually, I'll do a white ink on the eyes, and then I'll go in and shade it, because nobody's eyes are just like bright white. Like, you'll look crazy if the eyes are just white. So you got to shade it in there a little bit, give it some dimension. And then you see me going back in. I like to work with shading and highlights at the same time. I know some people like to put the highlights at the end, but if you shade through the whole thing, it kind of just looks real dull and plain, and you don't really see the definition of the face. So I like to work with both of them at the same time. If I do a shade, then I'm backing it right back up with the highlight. And you see me adding the teeth in. As I mentioned in my other video, teeth are hard for me. Tracing or not, they look, they don't ever look right to me. But I was satisfied with these. And the lips, actually, from the previous drawing, I struggled with the lips a lot. But this one, I guess since it wasn't freehand, it was a little bit more easy. But even the trace isn't what gets me. It's the definition of the lines. Like, lips are super defined. Like, you can either go really right or really wrong with it. But I think hair, I might not give it as much credit, but I love doing hair, like especially like the baby hairs and the little wisp of hair. Like, I just love the way it looks. And the hairbrush that's stocked into the Procreate app is just phenomenal. Like, I don't need any other hairbrush. I love that hairbrush. The fine hair, that is my brush. It gets the mimic of real hair so nice. And as you see, I'm just adding more highlights. The highlights, y'all, make this picture what it is. Like, it really, once I started adding the highlights, when I came back to the picture, I was like, yo, okay, now this is looking like old girl's face. And as y'all can see, once I really get into my shading, I don't even bring back the reference photo that's underneath. I can actually delete that layer, because I just have the reference photo open in my photos on the side. So if you're drawing on the iPad, especially the iPad Pro, I'm sure you can do it with all iPads, but you can just open up the picture on the side and just use that as a reference photo and zoom in. So that's what I was doing for the rest of the video. So tracing gives you a little step up, but you really got to know what you're doing at the end of the day. So yeah, just adding more detail. I just love the way the airbrush tool that I have just makes it look so angelic, almost like her face, it start looking like a real photograph. Y'all can see at the end too, but I made sure I added some highlights around the edges area, because you know that's never really dark. That's going to be a little bit more highlighted. Highlights on the lips, as you see, because she did have a gloss on, so you want to make it look as shiny as possible. That's why I use white. I don't use like a gray shade. I use white on lips, and I use whites on like the inner corners of the eye, because all of that is like wet, so you want that to make it look as realistic as possible. I really have fun with her earrings as well, and that was just simple little squiggly lines with different shades of gray and white and black to make it look like a diamond darling. But I definitely could work on how I mimic diamonds in the future. This is my first earring I actually had to draw, so that was really fun. But yeah, I just had fun, man, just going in. As you can see, I'm working on that earring right now, and you just have to make sure you understand that light is hitting her from the right side of her face. So the right side of her earring is going to be a little bit more popping than the left side, because that's more like her face is turned, so she's not getting light to that earring. So you don't want to make that as pop y'all know what I'm saying, as shiny as the other earring, if that makes sense to y'all. Another one of my favorite things that I like to do is really highlight underneath the lip, because that's always going to naturally have like a little shadow, especially if the lips are a bit more full. It gives it a little undershadow, so you want to pay attention to that, and also pay attention to the shadows on the side of the nostrils, because that's always going to have a little casting shadow as well. And it also helps the face not look so flat when you're drawing. It helps it look a little bit more like it's protruding out, which naturally a nose does. So those are some tips. Also, as you see under the neck, is some shadows under there, because again, your neck is going to always cast a shadow. I don't know when it doesn't, but in a head-on, like straight face portrait like this, it's going to always be, every portrait I ever drew always has a shadow on the neck, period. So you want to make sure you pay attention to that. The only thing that I regret with this drawing is I was going way wild with the as y'all can see, I'm cleaning it up now. I was going way wild with my airbrush, and it just got on all my layers, so I had to go under each layer and just erase that, y'all. It was so annoying, and I wish I would have not did that, pretty much. Like, that made more work for me that I didn't need. But then let me see if it's at the end, I did this skin texture almost on her face, which was like, this is me going through the layers and trying to erase the other side. Like, yeah, just make sure y'all, when y'all doing y'all drawings, draw inside the lines as best as possible, so you don't have to go back and do that cleanup work. But yeah, I ended up doing like I think you can see it now. If you look at the chin, you can see textures coming up on the chin. I did some texture on the nose. I made different textures, like where it was gray, I made it white for the texture. Where it was really light, I made the texture gray, because, you know, so it can pop. And then in the photograph, it did have this little gray oval like shade behind her, so I went ahead and mimicked that to my best ability as well. And yeah, I just really love the way this came out, y'all. So if y'all liked it, make sure you share it, like, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later.